Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. I hope all of you guys are doing good. I don't know about you lot, but Sundays, when Chelsea have won on a Saturday, they are just so much more enjoyable. We even had bloody rain in Dubai today. It's been amazing. It has been a day like no other. Chelsea 2, Everton 0. Everything was plain sailing. Everything seemed as though it was just a standard, solid afternoon at the office for Chelsea Football Club. And then we had the Enzo Maresca press conference, and even that was going really well. Let's talk about this for what it really is. Enzo Maresca was asked about Malo Gusto's performance at the end of the presser. Now, this is quite funny, really, because I'll put my hands up and say I've spent the whole week saying to Maresca, play players in their positions, please. And then who goes and puts in a man of the match display yesterday? Malo Gusto. Where was he playing? Certainly wasn't the traditional right-back role, was it? So if I was Enzo Maresca, I'd have been waiting all day long, having watched that, to be like, let me just have my little moment here to say something to those people who have doubted me. And credit to Maresca again yesterday, because everything he did worked. Chelsea were good. We brought energy to the table. We looked fluid. It wasn't perfect. And we can certainly improve offensively still, but defensively, we were fantastic. Now, this answer at the end of the press conference has sent people absolutely potty. So, Enzo Maresca said this following Chelsea's win yesterday. Worst 48 hours since I joined the club because people didn't support me and the team. Now, this is wild, realistically, because I know obviously from a YouTube perspective, I've watched a lot of people's content this week because that Atalanta game really upset me. Not only because Chelsea lost, and naturally as a Chelsea fan, I don't want to see us getting beaten, but it was more so the case of how we lost. Having 8 defenders on the pitch at the end of the game, or 7, don't want to over-exaggerate things too much, but realistically, I didn't see anybody who has a say on Chelsea or cares about Chelsea not questioning the decision-making in terms of personnel, substitutions from Maresca in midweek. So when it's Malo Gusto putting in a man of the match display, I can feel that from Maresca, and I'm happy for him. Because listen, whenever you're doing all of these changes, tinkering, rotations, whatever word you want to associate it to, if it works, nobody cares. If Chelsea keep winning, no one's going to be like, why is Malo Gusto there? Why is this player in that position? No one cares if Chelsea are winning. The issue comes when we're not winning. Because when we're not winning, and you can see players that could actually do those roles better, potentially in our brains, right? When we see them on the bench, not brought off the bench, we're all like, come on, man. Like, it's right there in front of you. So there's obviously been a bit of a fallout regarding this, because is he talking to the fans? Is it the media? Or is Enzo Maresca having a little dig at something internally at Chelsea, which 99 times out of 100, manager starts digging out someone in the club in a public press conference, it never ends well for the manager. So Ben Jacobs has posted this in the last hour at the time of me recording this video. Enzo Maresca has an internal issue at Chelsea, expected to clarify his comments before Cardiff. CFC insiders insist Maresca wasn't singling out any individual. Frustration brewing for a while. Rotation debated. Wearing non-Chelsea clothing unrelated. Now, obviously, everybody here is going to have their opinion to this. Enzo Maresca will know exactly where these comments came from. And listen, in any footballing environment, especially in a press conference, off the back of, let's say, the juxtaposition of how the week planned out for Chelsea. Beaten in Atalanta, incredibly questionable decisions, and then we beat Everton, and everything looks like Maresca's nailed it on. So everybody's like, well, what Chelsea are we going to get? Why do we get this one game and then that the next game? We're just all looking for consistency, really. So I don't think Maresca here is singling out the Chelsea fans, because he said that he loved the fans. And I think if it was directed at anyone who is a fan, then I don't think that comment would have stuck at the end of what he said. So this is Chelsea Dodgers tweet. This comes from Kieran Gill. One Chelsea insider played down Enzo Maresca's post-match comments on Saturday evening by describing them as an emotional reaction to an emotional win. This is my take on the situation too. I don't want to blow this into anything bigger than it actually is. But we've got some journalists saying it's an internal problem at Chelsea. And part of me wants to say, maybe rightly so, because every person that I've listened to, and I've probably watched more videos this week about people talking about Chelsea than I have in years, purely because I'm trying to understand it myself. I left that Atalanta game confused, totally confused. I did not get what the plan was, and I didn't understand why we did certain things. So I was listening, trying to, gain some traction in my brain as to why this might have happened, to side with Maresca, because I've said it countless times. I like him. I think he's a good manager. I think he's a good manager for Chelsea, and I think he's great for developing a young team, which we still are. So I want to see him do well. But there are times when scrutiny is going to come your way, and rightly so, when you leave Esteval, Santos on the bench and you play all of your right-backs in midfield. Of course, people are going to ask questions. Chelsea Dodger also said he seemed calm enough to those of us in the room as he repeated how disappointing the last 48 hours had been. Matt Law said this, still unsure exactly who Maresca's complaint was aimed at. He steered it away from fans, and it would seem odd if it was purely the media, given he didn't mention anything in Friday's press conference. If it was at the owners/sporting directors, then I'm afraid he's fighting a losing battle. And this is the reality. If there is something going on at Chelsea where Maresca's decisions are being questioned, and then Maresca's coming out publicly and making a jibe, if there is conflict going on internally at the club, I don't know if there is or not. And to be fair, I'll say this much. After those 10 days where we're beaten at Leeds, awful result at Bournemouth, beaten in Atalanta, if there isn't questions, then what are we doing here? Chelsea need to be serious about this. We were second in the league. And again, when we were second and we draw against Arsenal, everyone is happy. Yes. Why? Because it's a good result. We had 10 men and it was also off the back of beating Barcelona. Everybody in their own right had the right to be excited because this is a results-based business. More so than anything else, whatever affinity you have to a player, a manager, we want to see Chelsea win. So when we're doing well, no questions, because that's what we expect. That is what the expectations of Chelsea fans is. We want to win. And we don't just want to win the odd game here and there. We want to win trophies. We want to win the whole flipping lot, mate. So when that's going well, no questions. When things just fall off a cliff, seemingly for no reason, we're going to question everything. Because all of a sudden, we've gone from closing in on Arsenal to struggling to even be in fourth position. All in the space of 2 games. We know the Premier League is tight. And if you watched Arsenal last night, beating Wolves 2-1, they were awful. Let's talk about it, really. Because Arsenal, right, they are certainly not infallible. As much as I've said all throughout the course of this season on Shootout in particular, Arsenal are serious. Yeah, they are. They're still the best team in the league, I think, probably. But blimey, I'm seeing cracks in that Arsenal team. So realistically, if you're a Chelsea fan, you can isolate the Everton game yesterday and be like, good job, well done, good performance, stuff to build on. But you can also look back over the course of the week before it and be like, how have we screwed that up? Why don't we have an extra 5 points on the board? And then we're in a title race again. It's fine margins in football. It always will be. And especially in a Premier League, the most competitive league in the world, you don't have time for slip-ups. And yeah, there can be excuses. And Maresca I'm not saying this is an excuse, but this is a fair point, and I want to entertain this a little bit here. On Cole Palmer's goal, with Cole, we are a better team. I really praise the players and the squad because we've played 16 Premier League games, 5 of them without Caicedo, 11 of them without Palmer, and almost all of them without Delap. This squad has been doing fantastic. We have played almost the whole season without our best player. I'm so happy for the players. People on the outside can appreciate that. And it's true. If you take Caicedo out for a third of the matches this season, Chelsea's most important player, Cole Palmer, pretty much been out the whole season, Chelsea's best player. So we have still managed to get fourth right now. Palace could go ahead of us today, we know that. But we're still at least in the top 4 race. It is those fine margins that I'm talking about here. And at Chelsea, and at any footballing club, right, it's a results-based business. So people will have questions. And I would say, as much as Maresca deserves so much praise for what he's achieved at Chelsea so far, he absolutely deserves those questions just as much. Because if we're getting questions internally at Chelsea, that's a good thing. Because we're not going to be accepting mediocrity. If someone within Chelsea Football Club, and I'm not saying this is the case, but if they are going to Maresca and asking questions, being like, what are you doing? What's going on here? Why is this happening? Good. That is good. Because at least we're trying to withhold a standard. That's what fans critique. That's why we critique things. It's because we want those standards upheld. We want to see us winning leagues, not getting Champions League. That is not a trophy. We want to win it. So let's go for it. Great news as well yesterday, which I didn't really mention too much in the 6 things we learned, is that Reece James just played the 3rd consecutive 90 minutes of football in the space of a week. How long have we been waiting for this? And he was good again yesterday. Head coach Enzo Maresca on Reece James playing 3 games a week. He's asking for more. He's getting better and better. It's a good feeling for us. He's an important player. No doubt about it, a fit Reece James is massively important for Chelsea. When we talk about keeping things calm, when we think about building momentum, you need your captain out there. Reece James knows Chelsea better than anybody at this football club, and I mean that seriously. Obviously, there's probably some staff that have been there longer, Billy McCulloch, for example, but Reece James, in terms of like the top-end personnel, he knows this club better than anybody. And if he's out there on the field, fit enough, available to play every single game, we're going to be a better team for it, especially if there is rocky conversations happening. You need your best men out there. You need the people that can steer the ship, that can galvanise people together when things go wrong. Now, yesterday's win, 2-0 at home to Everton, is expected. Everton have been in good form, so it actually makes this a better result even than just ticking the box, 3 points, clean sheet, move on. It's a great win yesterday. Really, really good. And again, as much as I'll say that Maresca's rotations still might hurt this team moving forward, and I still believe what I said last week. I still think finding that best 11, sticking to it as much as possible in the long run will put us in a better position. But he's right. We have had a lot of injuries. Caicedo will be back next week against Newcastle, and blimey, that is so important because that game will be so hard. Just before Christmas, early kickoff, St James's Park, blimey. I mean, I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen already because we'll get past Cardiff on Tuesday night first, but blimey, that is a big game for Chelsea. But Maresca's comments, maybe there is somebody questioning him right now at the club, and after Atalanta, that would have been the right time to do it. So I'm going to say this is all healthy, this is all good. And we will hear what Maresca has to say when he speaks to the press on Monday before the Cardiff game. But anyway, great win, great weekend. I'm going to go and enjoy the Newcastle-Sunderland game or Sunderland-Newcastle game now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to GBFC. Catch you guys tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.